Let's deal with the eye booger. Let's deal with the eye booger. Oh, Dad. Oh, you got some crusties too. Oh, part up. No, Dad. No, Dad. Putting a leash on a dog that can't walk. How mean. Hello, everyone. Hey, Colby, we gotta go this way. Welcome to another episode of Southdown Garage. Sorry for not posting anything in the last few days. Been sick last week. The video was supposed to come out on Sunday. It's a bit longer to edit. You in there good, Pumpkin? Today, I'm just gonna go over quickly some things that I did the last few days before we take our little poor dog to the vet. We've changed the intake tubing to come across, sort of like the FenFab, but not exactly like the FenFab. And then we've got both the air filters down the bottom. We're basically cutting up this 2 3/4 pipe that we're gonna weld to the now charge pipe. So what happened, part of my failure, I feel, I saw some aluminum on my spark plug. And so when I originally got this kit, the builder had this built for a different intercooler. He custom built an intercooler, which is kind of neat. But this would not work with mine. He said, just cut it up, change it, and get me to weld it. And you know what? I was like, no, I can do it. Don't worry about it. So I did it myself. And well, there are some welds further down that I'm not so proud of. I've switched to 16th tungsten and filler. Right now I'm going to be using my 3/32 tungsten because I need to get parts for my welder to run the 16th. And I think that was a big problem about what was going on with my welding. Because the metal is thinner, you're using a thicker rod and a thicker tungsten. Everything heats up differently. The metal would heat up quicker than the filler rod, and then it would blop and it would be like large and gross. And even on that intake, it's all large and gross. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grind it down, and then I'm either going to re-weld, depending on how this goes, or I'll just grind it down so it doesn't look ugly. But I like how you have the custom weld. It looks pretty nice. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to cut right along here, and then we're going to join this piece to the other 2 3/4 piece that's in the car right now. Another thing to mention is the builder that did all this stuff actually wanted to put 2 3/4 in. So he was talking to me about it. So I got the idea from him just to run 2 3/4 most of the way, because as you can see here, this is actually only 2 1/2, and this is 2 3/4 out exterior, which is okay, but you want to be able to increase your airflow through the charge pipe. Let's be honest, we want to get more air through there, because why wouldn't you? So we're going 2 3/4. It's going to be from here all the way to here, and then it will be 2 1/2 from here to here. All right. Now let's get to the cutter, and I'm going to yop off the end of that pipe, and then we can mark it up there and get to welding. We've got the charge pipe all together. It looks actually really nice. I'm surprised I did this. Don't look at that part. But now we've got to throw it on. We've got to run over to Post Haste Performance and pay my bill for all the aluminum that I've used of Dan's. Thank you, Dan, for donating your Supra charge pipes to the Explorer ST. I appreciate it so much. I know you're gonna make me pay for it, don't you worry. That's where we're off to now. So we're just gonna go ahead, we're gonna throw this charge pipe on, we're gonna drive conservatively because it's just gonna blow off anyways. Now, I can put this back together and get over to Post Haste. Well, we've got a bead all the way around the outside of the pipe now, so we can go ahead, throw that in, it won't pop off. Now that we have this charge pipe all done, we can finally stop having boost issues. I just have to talk to Post Haste about maybe getting some better clamps, but for now, we're gonna throw it back together. All right, so we've done quite a bit on our Ford Explorer since we had that nearly catastrophic failure. So we swapped back the stock injectors, this intake, so now it's fixed. We've upgraded the charge pipes. We did all that in this video. We changed the oil from 530 to 540, and now we're going to change the plugs back to a colder plug And then we're going to do some data logging, because what I saw was a little bit of knocking in our data log last time. And as we're getting ready for mission today, we want to make sure that everything is running correctly. Now, I'm going to clean the anti-seize off of this. As I mentioned before, Fords don't like anti-seize. Maybe I didn't mention that before, but Fords don't like anti-seize. So if you put them on, sometimes they can create issues that you don't need. So I'm going to take all the anti-seize off. We're going to have to undo the top coolant pipes that go to the heater core in the car to access the back 3 coils. So we have like the one on this side, 2 on this side of the engine that are hard to get to. So these have to get unbolted, and then we can get back in there, pull them out, put the new spark plugs in, and these are gapped to 26 thou instead of the stock 34, 35, whatever that is. It's between 32 and 35. I think it's closer to 35, to be honest. So we've changed out 5 of the 6 spark plugs. And what we found is, even though the stock ones were totally black before we changed the injectors back to stock, that all of them look pristine now. I was just basically throwing the sooted ones that had been overfueled into the holes that weren't overfueled in hopes of like averaging them out, but now looking at it, it's like, oh, that was kind of unnecessary. So we have the last one to do here. We still have everything disconnected down here. It's pretty easy to go through all this and take these front ones out. The back ones, however, the back plugs are not so great to take out. Just a heads up, because you really have to get in far back there and be careful you don't drop anything. You know, like your coil pack bolt, for instance, that holds your coil pack down, or you'll be missing one. Ask me how I know that. So we unplugged this connector. It's basically, oh, see, there's oil on top of here. That's nice. It's basically a white clip you pull back, and then you push down and pull out together after the white clip is unlocked. These are the original plugs in the car. These ones here, they're the Ford Motorcraft ones. So if we check the gap on these spark plugs, well, that one's 30. So they're all over the map. Some of these ones are up to 35. They're anywhere from 30 to 33. Now we've gapped these ones to 25 thou, which is a bit on the narrow side. Just, yeah, about 35 or 25, which is narrow. When we switch back to ethanol, after we do some dyno testing, we're gonna be happy that we did this. Now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna pull the stock, the original spark plug out of this hole. Here, fishy, fishy, fishy. We're gonna take a look at all of these plugs and see how the engine's running later, and then we'll know if we're too lean. We're definitely not rich, that's for sure. We're looking at the data logging from this last, from the run, basically after, I believe, this video. Normally I usually just explain stuff, but now I'm gonna try to show you. So hang on one sec here while I set up. Now what we have here is we're doing a launch from 0 basically. So on the screen here you're seeing we're at about 2400 RPM. The kilometer speed is 1, so we know that this is where we started from. Now if you look down here right below RPM on the chart versus time, you see you're retarding at negative 0.09. I thought this was retarding timing. After speaking with Adam explained that no, this is actually adding timing. So if you watch here, it goes up to -3 as we continue launching, and this is as we're starting to gain speed. And I mean, timing does come down a little bit, so I'll have to double check on that one later. But what we're trying to show you here is what your vehicle is doing when you're launching. So when we're looking at a negative, so what I'm talking about negative retarding here is we're talking about your knock retard over in the channel section here, and it says -3. Now what you're looking for is what your timing is set to during this period. Now as we continue on in the RPM and it starts to go back down to 0, you can see that your timing is still specifically, actually you're probably better off, look at the spark table here. You can see where your timing's at, specifically for this part of the table, and we're still in -3.5, so we're supposed to be adding timing at this specific moment. So what the tuner is probably going to see is that we could add a little bit more timing in that specific area, because there's only so much the computer will correct for, unfortunately. But this is the whole point of data logging, where you're going to be seeing what your car is doing under full load. And that's the point of doing these data logging testing, is to make sure that everything's okay. And if you're only doing a TDN network data log, you're relying specifically only on one person. And a tuner is great. A tuner, you know, they're trained to look for certain things. But when it's your vehicle, you're responsible for what happens. So if you're not doing this portion, if you're not watching each run, if you're not checking, like the other thing I did too is I added 540 oil, and you might say, well, it doesn't call for 540, but watch the engine oil pressure as we go for a hard launch. You're gonna watch it climb up to about 60 psi here. Now you watch how it hits 52 psi and then it drops slightly, and then it goes back up to 63, and then it drops down to 36.5. So when it drops to about 36.5, that's the momentary loss in oil pressure that we're trying to avoid under hard launching. So by changing the oil to a thicker oil, the time in between where you lose a momentary oil pressure to when it comes up is a lot quicker of time. Now at that, I don't really like that number 35 psi. That kind of makes me nervous. Let's see if we can get back here. There we go. So 36.5 is the oil pressure number. So we're gonna see what the oil level is later. I won't show that in the video, but you can at least see that the oil pressure, oh yeah, I zoomed way out. The oil pressure is 36.5, but it's very short period of time. So you see it's only for a few only for a few blips of a second, and then it's right back up to 55 psi. So these are why we change certain things, and we do the data logging, we check, and we see what's going on each time we make a change. And that's the big point of why we're doing this data logging, is to make sure that the power we're making is going to be sustainable and we're not going to do damage to our cars. Because let's be honest, nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to be the person on the internet that goes kabooey with their engine, and yeah, I definitely don't. I can't afford to do that or my life would be over. Well, that's it for this episode of Southdown Garage. If you guys like this video, hit that like button, consider subscribing, and if you want to support us, take a look at some merch down in the description below. And as soon as this shirt is out, I will release it. Yes, I am wearing a Dodge shirt, which is criminal for me to do, but it's hilarious. I absolutely love the Dodge platform, but I enjoy your angry comments even more than I enjoy racing Dodges. Have a wonderful day, take care, and we will see you on another episode of Southdown Garage. Bye for now!